Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMeglio, and this week I scheduled an interview with former Ranger Nick Fotiu, but unfortunately it fell through. In Mr. Fotiu's place, I am joined by literally Barclay Goodrow's biggest supporter, Alexis Kennedy. Appreciate you offering to fill in for as
Course.
the guest this week. AK, how are you?
I'm great. I'm honored to be here. Big fan of the pod. Excited to get into it.
There's something I've thought about, Stags, call me Stags. You know him on Twitter, of course,
Of
right?
course. Yep.
Rangers Lizzie, and then you guys are like one of my biggest supporters. And also Michael Musto. I don't know how to pronounce
Oh
his
yeah,
name, but
Mike. Yep.
yeah, I always tweet the gifts from the other guys with him because we both love that movie so much.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that movie, you should go see it. The other guys is
100%.
awesome.
Yep.
Um, I need like a super team. I'm the GM or whatever. You could be like the chief fan officer. Snags can be the social media representative or
Mhm.
something. I need like a PR department to like handle like podcast requests to make them for me and to accept them.
Yeah.
'Cause
100%.
that's all I've been doing the past couple days is just, making a call here and there.
We're still trying to get Weeksies on, right?
Yeah, we're on day 59 as of what's today? Thursday? Yeah,
I remember when
Thursday.
this started. I remember the whole thing. I remember when it first started. And he's always on Twitter too. So I don't know what he's doing.
He was definitely on the draft day. He was definitely scrolling through the timeline at one
100%.
point, and
Mhm.
he liked my request tweet, and I'm like, come on, just say yes. That's all you need to do. Just say yes. 10 minutes.
It'd be really
Asking
good.
asking for weeks.
Yeah.
Someone. I keep thinking about this. Like someone photoshopped his face on the Statue of Liberty, like the Lady Liberty uh here for the podcast cover art. I got to make a shirt of that. If
Yeah, you
if he
should.
comes if he
And if
comes
he
on.
comes, you should send it to him. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and send it to him. That's a good one. Breaking news: Kevin Weeks is on the Statue of Liberty. What's going on, NHL fans? All right. Anyways, we'll get right into it. So I wanted to ask you. So the support for Barclay Goodrow, I see it all the time. You
Yep.
defend him all the time.
Yep.
How did that start?
So everyone thinks that I've followed him since like the beginning, which is so not true at all. I really first noticed him when he was on the Sharks. He was playing at MSG. It was right before the trade deadline. Because I remember this clear as day because it was Brady Shea's last game as a Ranger. Because I was a huge Shea fan before I really got into Barclay. And something about him just like stood out to me. And I didn't even realize that I saw him that game until it was brought up to me after. My boyfriend actually texted me recently and he was like, look at this video, and he's fully in it. And then that's when I kind of started following him. Then obviously he made the jump to Tampa, and then Tampa was on everyone's Twitter news because they were back to back Stanley Cup champions. And I really like looked into him. I like who he is as a person. I mean, he's a sweetheart. If you haven't met him before, he's really, really nice, and he wants to see his fans, which is nuts. And he's just like, I think he's an enforcer. People don't like to call him that, but he does stand up for his teammates. I mean, he was a player's player this past year. And he just truly is like a huge locker room presence. It seems like all the guys were hyped when he came back after he was hurt. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like he just brings something so great to the team that I feel like we kind of needed for a little while. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with him, what goes on.
Certainly a great acquisition by Chris Drury. I was last year. My buddy and I, when we were still doing the podcast together, we
Mhm.
had Kyle Hall on for the first time. And the first player we mentioned that we wanted the Rangers to go after was Barclay Goodrow. Like we wanted a 200-foot player on there.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was in Atlantic City for my 21st birthday last year, and I got the news that Drury traded like a seventh or whatever for Goodrow's signing rights. I literally jumped up and down in my hotel room. I was so happy. That
Yeah.
was crazy too. That whole time there, like Booch hadn't been traded yet, and there was a rumor going around that he might get flipped for Horvat, and I was actually not totally against that. I was like, this would be a good trade. Horvat's good. And then
Right.
everyone was like, no, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
if you trade, I'd rather have Horvat than Sammy Blais in a second. I like Sammy Blais, but like, Horvat's a
Yeah,
good
I have
player, man.
feelings about Sammy Blay too. Like I get where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. And you know what's funny? When Goodrow originally got traded to Tampa Bay, I was very skeptical of what they gave up for him, like a first round pick and a
Mhm.
prospect for a third line player.
Yeah.
Like, really, Tampa Bay, you suck. Like, anyways, you got swept by Columbus last year. You're not going anywhere. Like,
Right.
I refuse to believe John Cooper was the guy to lead them to the promised land. I thought that they needed somebody else.
Mhm.
And I got proof so wrong. 2 cups in a row. And really like, honestly, Barclay Goodrow and the third line, Gordon Coleman, they were the real reason they took it to the next level. Like, the
Yeah.
every previous year they had, like, Kucherov and Stamkos
Mhm.
and Point or whatever, but those guys, those third line depth pieces really took them up a notch. Like,
Yeah,
I
100%.
don't even know how to describe it.
I think it's important. I mean, obviously, your first and second line are like some of the top guys on your team, and they're just as important. But you need those back pieces for when the first and second liners get tired. You need to make sure that you're putting good players out there in order to keep the game going, or else the game's done. Like it's as simple as that. I feel like we saw that happen towards the end of the Carolina series, and also obviously Penguins. We saw a lot of that happening. Goody being out, a lot of the guys getting tired from playing full 7 game series. They were exhausted. And I feel like the same thing kind of happened with Tampa Bay when they first started playing with us. They were off for so long and coming back and having to play against us, who's just so hyped up on everything that they're also exhausted as well. But then obviously as we got further on, Tampa started winning, was on a winning streak. I knew it was kind of over at some point. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's shot. I was like, I think it was it was the third game, and the third game that Tampa was about to win. And I was like, if they win this, it's done. It's
Yeah,
over.
game 5.
Yeah, it's
Game
over.
5.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it was a good run the Rangers put on, and
100%.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And those depth pieces, like you said, they are very important. Goudreau played like a tremendous role, and also, you also said that you need to rely on those guys when your top six gets tired. Let's go back to when David Quinn was coaching and we had Michael Haley running around, Greg McKegg running around, Brendan Smith as a fourth liner. Like, you
Mhm.
need to make sure those guys, first of all, you need to make sure that they can actually play. And
Yes.
then second of all, they have to be good, like
Mhm.
good enough to get on the score sheet too. Like, I mean, Goodrow had a career year.
Yeah.
What was it? Over 10 goals. He played with Panarin for a good
Yes.
portion, not the entire season, but a good portion. So I'm
Yeah.
sure Panarin had a lot to do with that.
It was his career high this past year. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, he fits into a lot of spots in the lineup. I
Mhm.
think if the Rangers could get away with him playing fourth line center, that means they have a deep team. But
Yep.
if he is the third line center, that's totally fine because he could center. He
Yeah.
plays
I like him
left.
at center.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like his face-offs. I don't know. I don't know what it is about him, but he's always doing something different. He's either taking that knee on the face-offs or he's fast too. I think people underestimate him, but he is a fast skater and he pushes, and we saw him push throughout the whole playoffs when he was playing on his ankle for like 3, 4 periods when he was injured. He pushes himself to do better, and I think a lot of that comes from, I mean, I know they're not always on social media and looking at everything, but I think it does stem down from the fact that a lot of people hated his contract. A lot of people were talking on his name badly, and he likes to prove himself. And I think he did that this past season, and now everyone's kind of quiet about the contract. So
so yeah, and that sort of segues into my next question to you. What do you think of those people that complain about that contract?
I don't like to be mean because everyone's allowed to have their own opinion.
Yeah,
I have my certain opinions on certain contracts, and that's what sports is. Everyone's going to look at it differently. Everyone's going to have a favorite player that someone else might not like. But I think that he did prove everyone wrong on the contract. No one gave him a chance, and then when they finally started watching him and saw how he is as a player, how he is in the locker room, it changed everyone's opinions on him because now you really don't hear much about it anymore. People are now comparing his contract to who we just signed from Carolina. I'm blanking right now.
Trocheck.
Yeah, they're comparing those contracts right now because obviously it is a long contract,
Yeah.
a lot of money. When they said 7 years, I was like, wow, that's a long time. But I did see some of those comparisons on Twitter, and I was like, just give the guy a chance. Like, I feel like we're too quick to act on it, which I get their stats and everything. I get everyone's looking at those things, but like, give the guy a chance. Good, he stepped up this year. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, those people, they're allowed to have their opinion. It is what it is. But I think they got proved wrong. So
There you go. And I mean, that kind of player to acquire is very tough in free agency. They're expensive. Like Coleman got a lot of money from
yeah.
Calgary. Gord signed a pretty big extension. It was like
Mhm.
5 million, 5.5 million, I think, with
Yes.
Seattle. And those players are awesome. I love those players. And Goodrow was the cheapest I think out of all of them.
I
But
think
again,
so.
yeah, the 6 years is what bothers a lot of people. And I'm not worried about the contract in 6 years. I'm worried about what's going to happen right now because obviously the Rangers just proved they're good enough to
Yep.
be contenders.
Yep.
Now all we need is Kako, Lafreniere, Beadle to literally just step it up and be like 40, 50 point guys. Like
Yeah.
if each of those guys could generate at least 40 or 50 points, then there's an even better chance that the Rangers could
Yeah.
win the
I
Stanley Cup.
I will say I was a person who was proved wrong. I was one of Heedle's biggest haters for so long. Every game that we went to pre this season, so like last season, COVID times, I would boo that kid on the ice. I don't know what it was. I just truly did not like him. My boyfriend could tell everyone I did not like the kid, and he proved me wrong during playoffs. He came through and he did what he needed to do, and I shut my mouth so fast. And I appreciate having him on the team, and I think he's a good addition to hopefully if they're second liners at that point or third liners, which they were. But I don't know. I was proved wrong like other people, and I think that happens a lot with hockey and just all sports in general. So yeah,
Heedles certainly has a great skill set. It just took him a long time
yeah,
like, he has been in the league for quite a while. He's the 3rd longest tenured Ranger, and
hmm
he's only 23. He's, like, gonna be 23 in September, I think.
wow,
So, he's a youngin, but it's just feels like it's taken so long for him to put
yeah,
everything together. But he has such great talent. I love the way he skates, like,
hmm
such a really good skater. And the playoffs performance, I was so impressed by him, Lafreniere and Kakko. I was very, very impressed by those
I
guys.
love those kids. I love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of Kakko, we haven't re-signed him yet, and it's getting like it's kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, I've stayed off of Twitter the past couple days. I've just been on there just to do my asking for weeks things and to retweet all of my other networks podcast stuff. Make sure I'm supporting them. But yeah, there hasn't been any news on
hmm
re-signing Kakko, and then for that matter, Mott either, because
Yeah,
I mean the Rangers don't have much cap space now that they signed Trocheck.
yeah,
Halak is under contract. Um, they traded Nemeth, but that's not much relief there now. I mean, they're gonna have to replace his contract. Mercogliano talks about that all the time. That
yeah.
they have to. If you get rid of Nemeth, it's not really 2.5 off the books. It's really like 1.5 because you have to replace
Right.
Nemeth's spot in the
Yeah.
lineup there.
I feel like the radio silence is definitely like nail biting. Like I feel like everyone's waiting to get that push notification to their phone, hearing about either Mott or Kako, one of the two of them.
Hmm.
I would love to have Motter back. I call him Barclay's twin. They literally, if you see them next to each other, they kind of do look like each other. I would
Probably, I
love.
think it's the facial hair.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if Barclay didn't have the facial hair, it'd be probably over. I would love to see him back, but I feel like everyone kind of understands that Kako is one of our main issues right now, and that's the main thing on the table. I think something's gonna happen. I don't think he's going. I don't think he's leaving. That's my personal opinion. I've felt that way for so long. I remember everyone freaking out about it. And I was like, I don't really see him walking. I don't.
Kako or Mott,
Kako,
right?
Kako. No,
Kako.
Kako. I see Mott leaving. I don't. I mean, even if you watch his exit interview, I don't think he was like wanting to stay. I think
Yeah,
he came here
yeah.
to do what he had to do, and I don't think he's like dying to stay here. And I think if we can't give him the money that he wants, and we can't, I think he's okay with leaving. And I feel like that's something that everyone's gonna have to kind of deal with. I know everyone kind of fell in love with him while he was on the team. But that is what happens. But Kako, I do want to see him stay. I don't think he's leaving. Um, and I just hope we can build him because we're a team that loves to just get rid of the people that we sign, especially the youngins. So I would like to see us actually build him up to something instead of letting him go.
Years past, and like way before my time watching the Rangers, yeah, the Rangers have not been let's build from the ground up,
Yeah.
build on all this talent we've acquired. And this is really the first time in the modern era that we've been able to witness. I just hope they don't pull a 94 and trade all their young youth talent
Yeah.
to away for grizzled old veterans. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, grizzled, like, as in, like, like, in your 30s, you know what I mean? I don't want a player that's like, I don't wanna trade Kako for Patrick Kane. I
No.
like Patrick Kane as a player, but I
Right.
don't wanna trade Kako for him,
I agree.
right?
100%.
Like, but if it's a guy like Matthew Tkachuk who's 24,
Mhm.
then I'm like, "Okay, hang on a second. This guy's really good. This might be worth acquiring."
Yeah.
The Rangers got no cap space, though. I don't think Tkachuk to the Rangers is gonna happen.
No, I don't think so either. What he's been said, I've heard that Dallas was an interest, Knights were an interest. Kraken, was that one too or no?
I
Were
don't know if
people just
I don't know if they're cracked.
speculating?
I don't know if it's the crack. I did see an update yesterday, but Dallas was one of them. Florida was definitely one of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Vegas was one of them. I don't know why he would wanna go to
Go to
Vegas.
Vegas,
Like, they
that's what
just
I
did
was thinking.
terrible. Like, I mean, you've if you pay attention to the news, it's just there's always an issue over there. And if you pay attention to their cap situation, they're gonna have to make moves soon to keep clearing cap. Like, they just gave up Pacioretty for nothing. Literally a bag of pucks, basically.
They I don't know about that organization. I don't wanna talk smack on them because they've got fans and things like that, but I just personally, they're, like, bottom tier for me currently. I don't see why any player would wanna go there. I feel like if you, as a fan, can tell that the organization doesn't have their things together, then I don't know why a player is looking at a contract for them and like, "Oh, yeah, I definitely wanna go there." Like, I don't understand the aspect of it. Also, you're playing hockey in the middle of a desert. That also just makes me laugh hysterically. It's just funny. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't know.
I like the team. Like, I like that they were successful within the
Yeah.
first couple of seasons. Like, I love
Mhm.
that story. Like, I wanted to see them win. I just hated how they screwed over Fleury, and then they
Yes.
traded him for nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
They traded him for nothing. Like, Fleury, I never liked him before he went to the Golden Knights, but he earned my respect. Like, he basically was that franchise's real player. He was awesome. He was
Yeah.
great
He
for
took a
Vegas.
chance and, they really did him over. That's what happened.
Yeah. It was nice to see him get to Minnesota this year, to, like, a team that
Yes.
actually had a chance to win
Seeing
the
him
cup. But
start was I was it was so cute seeing him get on the ice. I was so
yeah.
happy for him. I know a lot of my Twitter mutuals really do love him and enjoy him. So I was happy for them to like at least see him get on the ice and see his family be excited. It's nice when you see a player get recognition for what they deserve, and I feel like that happened with a lot of players this past year. So
Mhm. My favorite player was always Zuccarello and Callahan, but, I mean, with Zuccarello being on the Wild, it stings me, but,
yeah,
I wish he were still on the Rangers, but,
I
just the cap space, it wasn't friendly to us.
Yeah, Zook, I have 2 memories with him, and the one that I hate the most was Hank Knight. I don't know if you were there, but
Oh,
Henrik was
I
literally
was
talking about
watching.
how Zook didn't score, and then Zook scored immediately right after that. I could not believe it. I was sitting there, I was like, "What are the odds that he just called this and that's what happened?" But I'm glad he was there. And then when Zook was injured right before he got traded around that time, my sister and I were late to a game, and he was obviously coming in late. He almost literally ran me and my sister over in his BMW. I have a full Snapchat video of him driving in, and I was sitting there, I was like, "Who is this? Who almost ran me and my sister over?" And it was Zuccarello. Yeah, I love
That's
him.
that's the clip of the week right there. Jesus. My gosh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even I wouldn't I didn't know what I wouldn't know what to do.
Oh, I
I would
would have
just
been
be
just thank you.
stunned, like, He'll
Yeah.
just be like, "Hit me, maybe." I don't know.
I said to my sister, I was like, if we got hit, I wouldn't even ask him for money. I'd be like, take me into the locker room, let me meet everyone, and that's it, and we're done. Like we're settled. It's fine.
Of course, I would say, "Zook, you gotta come on the podcast for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Now you
100%.
have to come on the podcast for 10 minutes, and I'll give you a shirt. I'll give you a shirt." Um, yeah, and then also, Callahan too. Callahan and those guys kind of remind me of Barclay Goodrow. Goodrow reminds me of them. Like, not
Mhm.
exactly, but because Goodrow's not like a point scorer. He's more
Right.
of a defensive oriented player.
Yep.
But blocking shots was Callahan's biggest thing.
Mhm.
People would stand up and give him like would clap and cheer for him.
Mhm.
And when he blocked shots at the end of games, when he cleared the puck, when he defended leads and stuff like that, that's what gets my respect. And Goodrow, I think he blocked the shot with his bad ankle in the playoffs, or was
Yes.
it his other ankle?
No, that was the same ankle. It was like maybe the third game that he was back
Mm.
and he blocked it. And I remember sitting on my couch and I was like, if he is injured again, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because I was freaking out. And then everyone, like the rumors went around on Twitter. Oh my god, he's on crutches. He walked in on crutches today. And I was like, great, let's see what's gonna happen.
When
Yeah,
he came, I think he came back in that game
he
too.
did.
When he came back, I was like, "That's right, damn right. That's a
Respect.
solid hockey player right there. That's a real hockey player." I
Mhm.
love that. And Lindgren does it too. That's what wins me over. To be my favorite player, it needs to be a lot. Like
Yeah,
I have high standards for that. So like
100%.
right now, I don't have a favorite player on the team. I'm hoping that one of Lafreniere, Kako, Hedo, or Kravtsov can win me over.
Because
Maybe Keandre Miller even.
there's not a single favorite on the team right now. Not at all.
For me, I love them, yeah, but I can't definitively say one of them is better than all the others in my eyes. I like them all the same right now.
Okay. All
And
right.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's a bad thing, but on, like, the teams, like, where we had Nash, Richard, St. Louis,
Yeah.
McDonough, even Henrik Lundqvist,
Yeah.
Zuccarello being my favorite player, I don't know, it means a lot, so I have high standards for that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
Nash was my favorite back in those
He
days.
was
I
good
love
too.
that
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved him a lot too. He got a lot of heat for,
Mhm.
not being the player that we acquired him for. I just talked to somebody about this, the other night. It was, I think it was Jamie I was talking to.
Mhm.
Um, he was saying that, Nash kinda turned into a complete player, but we really needed him to be the 40 goal scorer.
Right.
But I think towards the end of his time with the Rangers, we could have built around him, given him, like more scorers maybe,
Yeah.
and we would have been fine. Like, he could have been the next captain of the Rangers,
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Rick Nash.
Mhm.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him a lot. He'd be a good podcast guest too. What is he doing?
He's retired. He just retired this year. They retired his jersey. He's working for the Blue Jackets. I just don't remember
Yeah,
exactly what he's doing in the organization, but I know he's working there.
yeah. I gotta do some
You
digging,
said
some
I'll help
investigative
you.
work.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll help you. Yep, 100%.
Speaking of podcasts, I mean, you had hinted a little while. I don't remember how long ago it was. Maybe a couple months ago, but you were saying like, "Oh, maybe I'll start my own podcast. Like, just
Yeah,
talk about the Twitter drama."
yeah.
I think you should do it, and you should call it Word on the Bird.
Oh, that would be good. That would be really good, actually.
I think that's a pretty solid name,
I
honestly.
had a few good name recommendations come my way. I have them screenshotted in my phone, but like when the NHL put out like no drama, just hockey, someone was like, you should do it just drama, no because like yeah, I want to touch on the Twitter drama, but also I would like to talk about like player incidents, but obviously I would have to say it's all alleged and all that kind of stuff so I don't get into any legal trouble. So I was also kind of looking into that aspect of it and like what I would have to do there for that information. I'd probably have to come up with fake nicknames for literally every person. But this all kind of started because of the Connor McDavid drama with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
This is when
yeah.
this all started. Yeah. And then obviously there's a lot of Twitter beef going on at the time, and it was a big disaster. And somehow I always get dragged into it. I don't know how. It just happens. Um, but yeah, I was thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. It's just very busy season at work right now. So I want to be able to like devote my time into it and like really love it and make it perfect before I share it with everyone. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big commitment if you're gonna do a podcast like that. I could totally see myself listening to that, like, on the way home from work, like, if
Yeah.
I literally have no time to look at my phone. Alright, let me just see what AK has to say about what's going on Twitter today. Because, there are people out there that are like, "Alright, I'm back," like we just said in the before we started the recording, like,
Yep.
"Oh, I haven't been on Twitter in a couple hours. Oh, what's going on here, guys?" And it's
Yeah.
just like, McDavid's cheating. What else? Zach Wilson from the Jets was cheating or something like
Something else.
that.
Something. Oh, what happened with Connor McDavid on that day was also the Sammy Blay incident with his
Yes,
sister.
yes, that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's what it was. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So like, there were plenty of people. I saw plenty of people that were like, "Oh, what happened on Twitter?" Oh my god.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think even just aside from that, just like normal people in the Twitter community, like there was a whole thing that happened last week that was actually a week ago exactly today. That was a disaster that literally everyone on Rangers Twitter went after this person. I won't say who it is because I don't want to give them the clout for it, but it was absolute disaster and they left, but then they came back. But I feel like in that sense, hockey Twitter sometimes like you are either really loved in the community or people have a really negative opinion on you, which is fine. People are allowed to have opinions. But at the end of the day, like we do come together as a community to, stick up for what's right and make sure that people are being held accountable for their actions. I feel like so there's a lot. There's also like other drama going on with the Preds social media person. I don't know if you saw that. It's
Oh
very
wait. I know who she is. It's like I think
Sarah.
she's
Yeah,
Sarah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's in like a one of those group chats where they just own people. Where like they if someone blocks them, they're like, "Oh my god, you're owned."
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
They're in a group chat and they put this out publicly, which is going to look really bad for her in the long run that she's getting involved with people like this. And people are they're saying things about it. And I feel bad because I feel like she's just in there. She's not really doing anything. She's probably just in the group chat and these people are trying to just, get a rise out of people. But that's going to be the newest thing that comes up. Watch. It's going to be next week. I
Yeah,
guarantee it.
there you go. Episode 1. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on Pred's Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter just to like try and now I'm starting to like just be on there just to request guests. Really,
Yeah.
that's basically all I'm on there for now. And recruiting and trying to talk sports. And I try not to get involved with any of that stuff because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
So just try to get along with everybody. That's my motto. It's
I
just
try
like
to do that too, and
yeah,
then some people just love to drag me into it, and then I'm just there, and I'm like, okay, this is
like
great.
Sam Stern's takes, like, they are either so hot or so ice
I
cold,
can't
like,
with him.
in like,
I
and by ice cold, I mean good, of
yeah,
course, of
right.
course. Ice cold in
I
my definition is always good, and
I
people
love Sam.
always what people not to cut you off, but people
No, you're
always tag me in these, like, these old takes exposed, like, they
fine. Mhm.
think I'm freezing takes, and
Right.
I'm like, it's like, "Oh, yeah, Joe Burrow's gonna suck this year," and it's just like 5 months later, it's like at ice cold takes. I'm like, dude, I'm the wrong guy. I'm not that cold. I'm the good ice cold. I'm the
Right.
not the like old takes exposed. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah,
like
you're the
just stop
hockey.
tagging stop tagging me.
No, I love Sammy, and I totally get where you're coming from. I think the biggest thing him and I argue about is tater tots. That's like the one thing that we completely disagree with. And he actually posted a picture of himself on Twitter after so long of like no one knowing what he looked like. And I was on the plane going to Mexico, I think. And I remember tweeting to him, I was like, I literally saw you as Napoleon Dynamite, like in my head because of the thought of tater tots. Like that was like who I thought you looked like. And he got really mad at me. Yeah.
Oh, but
I love
like his takes like that always get a reaction, and I love that. I
oh, yeah.
love that. You know what I mean? Like whether it's positive or whether it's negative, and
Yep.
I'm like, I see a Sam Stern tweet, I stop and read it word for word, like I stop everything, like stop scrolling. I'm like, okay, let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah, you can never miss Sammy's tweets either because he has an egg. Like you just see the egg and you're like, "Yep, Stan,
Yep,
what's he gotta
yep.
say?"
The shade of blue in the background is the same color shade of
Yeah,
my minimalistic Ice Cold Takes logo,
yeah.
profile picture on
No,
Twitter.
yeah, he's a good egg. That's what I like to
Y
call him. Good egg.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Whether I agree with him or disagree with him, I still love him. I think
Yeah,
he's
he
great.
should.
Sam,
I
you should
feel
come
like
on the
everyone
podcast.
does.
If you're listening, you should come on the podcast one day. It'd be great to
And
have
have
you.
his takes on it.
Yeah, yeah, food takes. I gotta talk to him about pizza. I don't know. How long have you been listening to the show? To the Ice Cold Takes?
Before Snags was on. So when did Snags come on? April?
Yeah.
So a little bit before then, but then I really got into it after Snags was on because I'm very close with Snags. I've met him in person. He's a great guy. And when he gave me that shout out, I was hysterically laughing about it because it was hilarious. But yeah, so since around then,
Okay. So you probably weren't around for yeah, you definitely weren't around for last year's pizzeria stories, because I work at a pizzeria and that's what I always talk about.
yeah, I wasn't actually. I'm pretty like new to Rangers Twitter. I feel like people forget that. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So I changed my personal account to my Twitter account. So I got like some high school people still following me, and they see my out of pocket tweets sometimes, and they like call me out on it. Which this happened recently with a Clay Holmes tweet. Um, she- so I've probably been on Rangers Twitter since I want to say before Hank Night, so probably December, maybe November. So,
Oh, so this season. Okay,
yeah.
so then how long have you have been a Rangers fan
Oh
for?
my god, my whole life. My
Okay.
whole life.
Okay,
I
okay.
just was never in the Rangers community until one day I like posted a picture in my RIP Ryan Strome jersey. And literally it blew up, and then also Ryan liked one of my tweets. So people were like picking me up from like seeing him liking my tweet. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And then my friend was like, "This should be your handle because it's a play on it's all good row, like it's all good bro." So that's kind of how like the whole handle started, and that's where we are now.
Oh, I love it. That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Twitter's great for meeting people, I'd say. Like, I met Ava, I met you, I
Yep.
met Snags. All you guys are great.
Yeah.
I didn't have like like I went to school in Hoboken. So
Okay.
um but like I wouldn't go by myself to a game.
Right.
You guys would be people I would go with to a game for sure.
Yeah. We did during, I believe it was game one of round one. We like a bunch of people from Twitter met up. And it was like insane to like kind of put the faces to the names because like you don't know who some
Yeah.
people look like. So that's where I met Snags. And it was really, really fun. And then I also bumped into Lou and Andrew on their on Twitter as well.
Bay
And they were great
Chesty
guys.
and
Yeah.
then Immortal Lou.
Yeah, it was really hype. Like we were like, "Oh my god! Like
I
how
need to
are you?"
I need to buy a Rangers tank top and a NYR shot
Like
glass.
blue,
Like,
yeah,
honestly, yeah,
yeah,
those glasses are so cool. I love
yeah.
them.
I
Oh,
met
I need
Lou
one.
at Hank Night. He sat right in front of me, actually. That's how we met. And
Oh,
then
that's awesome.
I didn't even realize he was on Twitter. And then I saw me in the background of one of his selfies that he posted, and I was like, "There I am. That's me."
Nice.
Yeah.
I met, so before the season started,
Mhm.
I did this crazy, crazy thing. Like, during last summer, I had Andrew Bashesty on,
Mhm.
and then they had like one of their Twitter spaces. And so
Mhm.
I joined one of them. And it's like, "Oh, Ice Cold Takes is in here. Let him speak or whatever." And they were all like, "Yo, can we all come on the podcast at the same time?" It was like Rangers. It was Nick,
Mhm.
King Nico, um, Keandre the Giant, Bay Shesty, and Calzone. Like they were all in it at the same
Wow.
time. They're like, "We want you guys. We want we want to be on the show at the same time." I'm like, I
A
don't know
lot
if
of
we could do
people.
that's a lot. Yeah, so it was
Chaos.
like,
Yeah.
including me, it was 5 people. So I decided, let's do it, but we have to schedule this so that it's released at a good time. So when I did it was the night before game 1 of the season.
Oh,
So
okay.
I recorded it then, and we all hopped on the call, and it was basically just a Twitter space, but on the podcast, like on like Zoom or whatever.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we barely talked about hockey at all,
Right.
just about this stuff.
Yeah.
So, any listeners, if you're still listening at this point, I'm sorry for the lack of Rangers content on this episode, but you know what? It happens. We'll be back next week for that. But Anyways, it was such a good time talking with all those guys. You know what I mean. Like they're hilarious human
Yeah,
beings. I would love to meet them in real life. I actually met Andrew at the Flyers game. Um,
yeah.
the
He's
Rangers played the
great.
Flyers. Yeah, yeah, he's so
He's
funny.
great. He was like so hyped to see me, and I was like, "Me, I'm hyped to see you. Like, what are you talking about?" It was
Yeah,
so cool. Yeah, they're so sweet. I feel like, I mean, if your listeners are still here, if you're looking for like a good community, like, and you want to like make friends within the Rangers community, Twitter is definitely your place to be doing it. There's always room. Just hit up me, hit up Snags. We'll make sure you get those followers and get people talking to you and put you on people's radars. I mean, really is a great community. You feel so loved when like people, enjoy you and celebrate you
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So
Like I love putting out like hypotheticals on there. Like I'll put out a line combination. Like at some point in the season, I put out a tweet where it combined the 2014 roster and the 2000 like this today's roster.
yeah,
And people are like, "How could you not put Hagelin? How could you not do this or whatever? Oh, this is so great. Panarin, Nash, and Stepan. This would be such a great combination.
yeah,
Fox and McDonough would be so good." But like, I just love getting people to like talk and discuss. That's my thing. I love talking about hockey. You know what I
right,
mean? And if you want to do that, then Twitter's a good place, I'd say.
100%. And people will call you out on your takes,
Oh
but
yeah,
you're
for
allowed
sure.
to have your takes. It's as simple as that. And as long as you back your word with what you're saying, then it is what it is. But it's always a great place to go and just, talk to people, talk about hockey, talk about whatever you want. I mean, we have food debates that happened at one point. I remember.
Oh, the waffles versus
Oh my,
pancakes thing. I
yeah,
remember that.
I got heated about that. I got really mad. Sammy's tater tots, I feel. I mean, I love Lou's drama with TDA. I'm always like looking for that. I'm looking for more information on that. Yeah, it's a good place. It's fun and it's like a family. It really is.
I saw the D'Angelo thing that came. He went on Cam and Strick podcast.
Hmm.
You know what's funny? I actually interviewed D'Angelo a
Did you
long time
really?
ago. Yeah, yeah, on the show. It's like episode 12.
Hmm.
Um, and it was like it's just so crazy to see him go from that, like from that, like he just came off signing his extension with the
Yeah.
Rangers, and
Hmm.
now here we are all the way over here,
Yeah.
and he's on the Flyers now, and I'm like, so much happened. So
Yeah.
much happened. I couldn't get him to I couldn't interview him at any point in between. I had to get it right at this boring stage, you know what I mean? I mean, I'll always be thankful for him to come on, say what you want about him, whatever,
Right.
but, like, he gave an hour of his time, and
Right.
he came on
And
my show.
that's respect towards him for even doing that.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I used to work at an ice rink. Like I've been involved in hockey my whole life, and I used to work at an ice rink. And my boss coached him, and I have not heard the greatest stories about him.
Oh,
I won't
boy.
say anything because I don't want my boss to like, I don't want him to get mad or like it get back to Tony, God forbid. But I have heard not nice stories, and he has always been the person that he has been. He just had good PR people, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It comes down to your PR and who you're dealing with. And I feel like during COVID, everyone was kind of cooped up. So he was like, I'm going to do whatever I want to say. I feel like a lot of people did. And that's kind of what happened. Like we were all going nuts inside. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to tweet on Twitter what I want to tweet.
Yeah, he was unhinged, but,
He
so what are
was.
you saying? You saying that I should get your former boss on the podcast now?
He's great. He owns an ice arena by my house, obviously, and he coached for a very long time. And he's like your typical like Italian dude. Like he doesn't take anyone's attitudes or problems. Like he's not like that. He's very hard on people, but he's a great guy and he was a great boss while I still worked with him. And yeah, I've heard great stories. His son is on. He's been moved around so much. He's in St. Louis right now, I think. Santini's his last name. I just can't remember the first name.
Not related to the NHL player or
No, no, his
okay.
son is an NHL player. Yes.
Steven Sa I think his name's Steven.
Yeah, that's my
That's fine.
boss's name. So if he's junior, then I can't. I literally can't remember. He was on the Devils. I know that. I don't really know much.
He got traded for Sluban. I mean,
Yes.
Subban.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he plays for the Blues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steven
Yeah.
Michael Santini is an
Yeah, that's
American
my boss's
professional.
son. Mhm.
Speaking of Wikipedia profiles, I did something funny yesterday. I went to Dubinsky's Wikipedia page and I added on at the end of like his description, like he currently owns Sidney Crosby. So I took a screenshot of it and I tagged Dubinsky. I was like, "We know it was you, Dubinsky. Don't lie."
He just didn't his Instagram just get hacked?
I think so. I'm trying to figure out if like if it's actually him
Because I
or
got no,
not.
it is him. It's him because the PR people that like take care of Barclay and like Adam and all of them follow his account. So it's got to be him. And he followed me randomly the other last week, and I was like, "This is so weird." At first, I was like, "This can't be real," and then I scrolled all the way through, and I was like, "Okay, this is real. This is." And then he tweeted that he got hacked. So
Yeah, yeah. So maybe he did follow you for real,
maybe
and
I'm
then you
still
just
there. Who knows?
yeah, nice. You should check.
I
So
should.
I think I gotta message him now. I gotta say like Dubinsky, you should come on the
You
podcast,
should.
and then I'll ask him like one of my questions has got to be like, would you rather spend a night sharing a room with Crosby or do bag skates with Tortorella for the rest of
Yeah,
your life?
great question. Actually, that's pretty good.
Right? I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I would love to interview Dubinsky. Um,
Yeah,
But yeah, anyways, AK, thanks so much for
of
doing the
course.
podcast with me.
Yeah.
We shot the shit for however you say whatever the saying is.
No, I was
For
gonna say that earlier, but I didn't know if I could curse, so I didn't say it.
I mean recently I've tried to like to lay off it just because I
Yeah,
want to be a little bit more professional, but
yeah,
every now and then it slips out.
yeah.
So whatever. But it Ice Cold Takes listeners, if you made it this far, I congratulate and applaud you. This is all over the place, but you know what? You gotta get an episode done. I gotta stick to it. Release one episode a week every week for I don't even know, almost 2 years now. So gotta keep it rolling. Just because Nick Fatu says no doesn't mean that AK has to say no. So thanks for coming on.
I'm honored. I really appreciate it, and I can't believe I tweeted you last week saying if you ever needed someone, you could have me on, and here I am. So
Yeah, that
I
was
was so nervous too, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it.
that, oh, that's yeah. I mean, if you want to, yeah, just and I encourage anyone to reach out. If the more people, the better, actually, because with this mixer, I can now have the power to accept phone calls and then put it right into here. So you could ask your questions as I'm recording.
Oh,
I
that's
just
nice.
have to yeah, so I'm just gonna have to figure that out before so many people start, flooding my DMs or whatever, hopefully.
It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Watch, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, like honestly, if people want to come on the podcast or want to be heard on here, just, let me know and I'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. But yeah, sometimes you never know. You throw up a prayer and you don't know. Like I tagged Mike Rupp for 7 days in a row and he finally got to us.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
saw
how I
that.
got him on.
Mhm.
And it was with Snags' help. I think I told you about that a while ago,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
that's how it happened. So you never know. I see the messages, so of course
Yeah.
I was gonna respond. But yeah, that was so weird how like 1 week it's just like, can I come on the podcast? And I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe one day. And
And then
then you
here
never
we
know.
are.
Like honestly, like I when I say maybe one day, like I actually mean that. Maybe
Yep.
one day. Not like
Yep.
one day, literally my next episode. That was just so out of left field. I'm just like, "God damn it, I have nobody. AK, you wanna be on the show?"
Sure.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I do appreciate it though. I really do, and it was really fun, and I'm glad I got to do this.